Ahmed El-Hashash. I'm Associate Professor of Biomedicine at Texas A&M University in the United States, and I'm going to talk to you today about our work at Texas A&M, which is the Reforming Biomedicine Science Teaching and Education. And we are going just to reflect on the well-developed practice and approach in large class, which we develop at Texas A&M University, and which we call it TAMU. TAMU stands for Texas A&M University. Okay, and here is just an overview of my presentation today. What I'm going to talk is just to give you background and about our study and the goals of our study. We're going to discuss our results and finding, and then give you conclusion and discussion at the end of my presentation. As you know, there is a current defect in biomedical science education, and there is a need to reform biomedical teaching and education. And this is for several reasons. For example, many institutions in the world favor densely packed curriculum with fast-paced instruction, which are focused on detailed subject matter. And this institution produce graduate students which are best for postdoctoral training and academic career or position in highly specialized areas like biomedicine, medicine, and scientific field. However, there is a little room is left for skill training in active learning, critical thinking, and the creative problem solving. And despite their significance, we indeed need students which have a high critical learning and critical thinking and creative problem. However, the current biomedical education can't produce this kind of graduate student. Therefore, there is a need to reform biomedical science education. This is urgent and is needed because making students efficiently understand and master the knowledge of biomedicine may promote the active learning and critical thinking and real-life learning, which are critical for more effective student education as reported by other scientific research. So the guiding goal of our study is to develop approaches and strategies which can improve biomedical teaching and learning, particularly in large classes that are challenging. Our specific objective, again, is to reform biomedical science teaching and education by developing more effective strategy to improve biomedical science teaching and learning, particularly in larger class, because larger class teaching in larger class is really challenging. And at our institution, TMU, we have large classes. My class, for example, is over 400 students. We hope this strategies and approach can enable us to overcome major obstacles of teaching and learning, particularly in large classes. So we developed several strategies at TMU to improve biomedical education. And here is an example of this strategy. We have several examples today. We have developed strategy to promote safe learning environment in biomedical class. We have another strategy which aims to plan effective biomedical science class session and check for student understanding. We also develop a strategy which use small group to promote active learning in biomedicine. Also, another strategy aimed to facilitate effective class discussion in biomedicine. And we provide effective feedback to encourage note-taking and in biomedical class. Another strategy which we developed aimed to embrace diversity and inclusion in biomedical science class because they are very important. We also developed another practice on strategy to ensure equitable access to learning for all biomedical science students. And we also develop a strategy to boost student persistence in biomedical science class. Okay, so let us talk the first strategy which you follow, which aim to promote safe learning environment in biomedical science. We know from the literature that establishment of greater severity and is critical. Severity in class, of course, is critical for maintenance of healthy and more successful classroom. And this lead to improving student learning skills and outcome of student in our class. So we developed several approach and strategy to implement severity at Texas A&M University. For example, we build a culture that encourage careful listening and consistent communication and teamwork between students. We use respectable tones toward the student when we call them and speak with them, and also toward colleagues and staff. We don't tolerate vulgar language and disrespectful or rude behavior and racism among our students. And we also encourage positive teamwork, careful listening, and good behavior among our students. Another strategy which we follow to improve biomedical education and also biological education at TMU is just to plan an effective biomedical science class and check for student understanding. We know from the literature that planning an effective class session can help the instructor to know uh, what students need to learn and increase student engagement and learning outcome. So based on that, we develop several approach or strategy to plan, class, and check for student understanding. For example, at the beginning of each class, we outline learning objective. And also, this outline of learning objectives can help the instructor to determine the kind of learning and teaching activity in class. In addition to that, we share the lecture plan with our students, verbally and written. And we hope this can help to keep our students engaged and on track to improve their learning and outcome. And this is the purpose of sharing the lecture plan and with the student, just to help them to get more engagement in class and to stay on track that improve their learning outcome. In addition to that, another approach we follow is to plan specific learning activity in the lecture, which is essential for student learning. We also try to summarize the main point that lecture content at the end of each lecture. In addition to that, we frequently ask our question for their understanding. We need to check if they understand the topic or not using different assessment to determine the level of student knowledge and understanding. Okay, so then we move to the third strategy, which is to use small group to promote active learning in biomedical science class. We know that from the literature that students can learn when they are actively engaged in processing information. Indeed, active learning can be achieved by having students learn from each other in small group. So we follow different approaches to have small group in class and promote active learning between these small groups. For example, we use small group activity to promote student active learning and inclusion of biomedical science course. We also randomly our student into small group. During my teaching, I randomly uh, uh, group my student into small group A, B, C, D. In each student is 5 to 6 students. And I restructure the content of my lecture into 2 segments. Each is about 20 minutes. And each 20 minutes is followed by one multiple choice question or MCQ question. And I ask my student, when I ask them this MCQ question, is to work in group to answer this question and then respond to me when they agree with one question, was one answer, they send it to me using iCurricula. And after that, after receiving all the answers, we have a whole class discussion of the correct answer of the question. And this is this kind of small group activity can promote more student engagement and active learning in biomedical science class. And I indeed receive very positive comment and feedback of my student on using this approach of small group activity in class. Okay, another strategy which we follow to improve biomedical science education in large class is to plan and facilitate effective class discussion in biomedical science class. Again, we know from the previous studies and literature, we know that using effective strategy that help students to prepare for discussion and collaboration with their peers and instructor can indeed improve student learning performance and outcome. So based on that, we develop different approach to promote effective class discussion in larger class. For example, we use open-ended question to generate multiple student high response. And students also can discuss the response together in pairs or in small group and then send it to me using iCurricula. We indeed apply think pair chair strategy. Then we have a whole class discussion on the correct answer. In addition to that, we ask students, actually we encourage students to prepare some discussion question and post them in discussion board in Canvas, for example, or Blackboard. And we, after receiving this question, we discuss it together and we provide feedback. And finally, we develop a approach which is based on collaborative learning groups in class. And each group or student group can solve a problem or analyze a figure or image before explaining to the other. So each group work on one task, like explaining a figure, explaining an image, collaborate together, and then share their knowledge with other groups in class. And indeed, this kind of class discussion, effective class discussion, has a positive impact in my student learning in large class. We also have another strategy to promote or improve the biomedical science education in large class, which is to provide effective feedback and encourage our students to take a note in biomedical science class. Again, this is based on previous literature, which show that trial and error learning is essential for the mastery of both the teaching content and of how to think. And indeed, providing meaningful feedback to students can improve their learning skills, experience, and outcome. So we develop several approaches toward this to achieve this goal, which is to have effective feedback and not taking in the biomedical class attainment. For example, we ensure that the feedback which we provide to students is specific and actually more specific, focus in 3 to 4 points, and effective. We also supply students with specific information about what they are doing wrong or right in our feedback. And this is for the benefit of our students. They should know what they are doing right, what they are doing wrong, and how they make a change. We advise students only on what they still need to improvement. This is very important feedback. We not suggest point for improvement. We prepare feedback that address student advancement toward the goal by providing explanation. It is not like positive or negative. No, we need to give them suggestion for improvement. We also prepare more focused feedback, which, as I said, focused feedback means that 3 to 5 points at maximum only, which are clearly needed for further improvement of student and also we use discussion board on Canvas for posting this feedback. In addition to that, we indeed encourage our students to take a note and use this note for their preparation for the exam. Taking note and developing the skills of taking a note is really essential for biomedical science student and biological science student in large class, because it can help them to focus in the topics of the lecture class. We also follow a strategy of to embrace diversity and inclusion in biomedical science class. We know from previous literature that diversity in class can help students to build critical thinking and improve their academic outcome. And maintenance of this diversity in the classroom can indeed improve student social skills. So we follow different approach, or actually we develop different approach to maintain diversity and inclusion in large classes at TMU. For example, we include diverse learning material that expose students to materials which represent different perspective and viewpoint. In addition to that, we encourage students to identify multiple solutions to biomedical science problem, which allow every student to voice, to voice, which allow each biomedical science student to have a voice, and his voice can be heard and be respected and discussed. We enhance student participation in our class and engagement and teamwork in which they work together even if they had different opinions. This is very important. And this is why we have a random, with my small class activity, I have random group of students. Random means students from different background, have different point of view. And this is very important to maintain this kind of embrace diversity inclusion. Each small group should have different students from different background and of course different opinion as well. We also know class student when I try to memorize student names, although it's so difficult in large class, but I am doing my best. So calling student by their name is really important, and give them opportunity to ask question is really essential for the success of biomedical science class. We try to avoid using stereotypes and generalization in course content and class. This is very important as well, to avoid using stereotyping and generalization in our classes. Another strategy which we follow at TMU, in large class TMU, is to ensure equitable access to learning for all biomedical science students. We know again from the previous study and literature that both course activity and assessment have a remarkable impact on the student perception and also on student engagement, and of course on student learning. So we need, of course, to ensure equitable access to learning for all biomedical students and students to achieve to promote their success in our class. So we've developed and applied different approaches and strategy to ensure equity of access to learning material at TMU. For example, we inform students about the course assignment early, the first week of the course. We also communicate to students about the goals of each assignment or learning activity just to get better idea about what is the pedagogical purpose of each material. In addition to that, we meet with students, either one-to-one meeting or small group meeting, to discuss the goal and the learning activity of each assignment or learning activity. In addition, besides that, we create flexible deadline for the course assignment, and we create an online discussion board. This discussion board on Canvas, and it helps students to ask a question and get a response from the instructor easily. And in addition to that, receive also feedback on reflection report and formative assessment. So discussion board is really essential, and I found it very successful to communicate with my student and provide them with feedback. It is a good replacement for email communication. We also boost student persistence in like biomedical science class. It's really very important to know that boosting student persistence in biomedical science class is critical. Why it is critical? Because simply we notice that boosting student persistence and retention is increasingly essential since the level of student dissatisfaction rose while their enrollment dropped recently in USA. The number of student enrollment in biomedical science class in USA is recently dropped. So the retention is going down. Why? Because there is dissatisfaction. Okay, so we need to post student persistent in biomedical science class to keep them in biomedical class. So student persistence and retention is really critical for both creating a positive student experience and for helping them to achieve their career goals. We need to keep our student in biomedical science program. So we need to post student persistence to keep them. To do that, we develop and apply different approaches for student persistence in large classes at TMU. For example, we improve student motivation and persistence by describing a role model. For example, I describe Albert Einstein's story, how he succeeded after failure. Charles Darwin, how Charles Darwin failed in the medical school at University of Edinburgh, which was my previous institution, by the way, and moved to biology and became famous scientist. So describing this story, real story of life of famous scientists who achieved success after several times of failure is critical as a role model for motivation of my student in biomedical science. We also provide a roadmap, or we call it module plan, to help the student to know the chapter topics. At the start of each chapter, I write the chapter content, which we call it module plan or roadmap, to describe each topic which I'm going to discuss with students. This will help the student indeed to plan their work time more effectively. They know exactly what the topics they are going to discuss, and therefore they are going to plan their work time more effectively according to that. In addition to that, we enhance student engagement and persistence in class using multiple approach. For example, as I mentioned, we have a group work. This is very important to have a group work and make sure this class activity, which include group work or small group activity, have a student from different background. And this will help to facilitate the asking and answering of student questions. In addition to that, which we hope to apply, but we didn't apply it yet, we hope to apply or include artificial intelligence powered chatbots, on AI powered chatbots, and live chat as a platform that can improve both student engagement and retention. So this is very important approach we need to follow to post student persistence in biomedical science class, which, as I told you, there is a drop in the number of enrollment of students in biomedical science class at USA because of their dissatisfaction. So doing our best to boost student persistence is really critical to achieve this goal. So here is the summary and the conclusion of my presentation. As I mentioned throughout my presentation, there is a current need to reform biomedical science education and to make students effectively understand and master the knowledge of biomedicine by promoting active learning and critical thinking. This is something we need to focus on it in promoting biomedical science by actually making our students effectively understand and mastering the knowledge by promoting their active learning and critical thinking. And to achieve this goal, we have developed about 8 plans or 8 strategy or approach achieve this goal. The first strategy, as I mentioned, just to promote safe learning environment in biomedical science. Safe learning is critical for the success of biomedical science class. So promoting this safe learning is really essential to for the success of biomedical science class. Another strategy which you develop is just to plan an effective biomedical science session and check for student understanding. Indeed, regular check for student understanding is critical to plan ahead and know if I need to repeat one topics or go ahead for the next one. So I need to find assessment method which is more effective to measure student understanding and to work on that and decide if I need to go back to repeat what I mentioned to student, or can I move to the next topic. Another strategy or third strategy is that to use small group activity to promote active student learning in biomedicine. I have indeed applied this active small group activity to my student, and I receive really positive feedback and comment from my student on how this small group activity has improved their understanding of biomedical science topics. But it's very essential in this small group to have small group 5 to 7 students, which are students from different backgrounds, should be random. Why? Because you can share their thought, opinion, and some students have a good understanding, some students have a poor understanding. So this student with good understanding can motivate students with poor understanding to get improved by time. We also have another strategy, which is to plan and facilitate effective class discussion in biomedicine. Again, this is very important. As I say, in my lecture, I have it split it into 2 segments. My lecture is 50 minutes, so I split it 2 segments, each is 20 minutes, and 5 minutes for discussion. And ask a student question on the topic discussed in the first segment, and I ask them to work in small group to prepare an answer, to agree about one answer, and send it to me using curricula. And after that, I have a whole class discussion on the correct answer. This is really effective method to promote student learning and improve the learning skills and outcomes. Another strategy which we follow in my class is to provide effective feedback and encourage note-taking skills in biomedical science class. Really, very important to prepare effective feedback. Effective feedback is short, focused, and specific on about 5 to 6 topics at maximum, no more than that. And effective feedback not give you suggestion to improvement. Is not good or bad. It is not like that. It is give student, okay, highlight what student did well and what he did wrong, and very important to suggest like several suggestions for improvement. In addition to that, we encourage students to take a note because this will help them a lot to focus during the revision and preparation for the exam. Another strategy which we follow to improve biomedical science class is to embrace diversity and inclusion in biomedical science class, and also we ensure equitable access to learning for all biomedical students. Each student should know the materials which you are going to study. We post the teaching material about 3 or 4 days in advance for each lecture, so the student should know which topics they are going to describe in each lecture. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge the invitation which I received from your conference. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'd like to say thank you from our funder source, which fund my research, which is a College of Art and Science at Texas A&M University of TMU. They offer a grant for me. And I'd like to thank my undergraduate research assistant, Norin and Kendi, for their support. And thank you again for your attention.